before, dashing away, but now SK begin to collapse. The hook goes in, and the Gnar comes down, and GIANTX falls alongside it as much as...
Go.
Nice.
Oh,
Carzzy the flash. Nice.
Wow,
Nisqy.
Ah!
Oh, nice. Oh, E.
Shit.
Nice. Why so easy on stage? Nice.
Nice. Job.
Welcome back to the LEC. SK have secured their spot in the playoffs with the win up against Heretics. So congratulations on that one, Nisqy.
Thank you.
The 5-man Shurima shuffle. Everybody in your team was so proud of you. Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, 5-man Azir is pretty hard to do usually. But then my team gave me an angle and I just took it. And also before the game, my coach was like, if you see an Azir ult angle for 2 people, just send it and Rahel will carry. I was like, okay, sure.
It's one of those things you like to see. It's one of those things you like to see as well, because normally when you see Nasir try to go for these moments where they think they have the 5-man shuffle, they completely grief and are just in the fight. But this is one of the few times it actually works.
Yeah, just a reminder for people in solo queue, you're not that guy. So keep that in mind when you do try to lock in Azir. Please don't try and go for the 5-man Shurima shuffle. But you guys are in such a different position when we're looking at last split, particularly. You had to play the tiebreaker against Rogue, and now you're cruising into playoffs on the 3rd week of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, it feels pretty good. I think during the off-season we did a lot of like feedback sessions as well with coaching staff, and also we changed some players so that it's like more fresh coming into the split. And I think we've been grinding very hard. We try to find new champs, we try to find new comps, we try to innovate with like some ways to play mid-game, how to play fights and whatnot. So I think it's just a matter of the hard work that we do, and I'm glad that we're winning against the teams that are supposed to lose, I guess, against us, rather than close games or like that they throw and whatnot. I think this was a decent game and I'm happy.
I have a question, because now that you've locked playoffs, obviously the goal is winning everything.
Yeah.
But right now, if I'm looking at it, you're not clear-cut a favorite to win the entire league. What does it take for the SK you currently are to become a team that wins the league?
I think for me, it's about being consistent enough. I feel like, for example, against Fnatic, we had some misplays, and then, as we can see, like against good teams, when you make misplays, they snowball very fast. And also, I would say just that we innovate. Like we usually don't really bring like new champs or whatnot. We just play whatever we're good at. And I feel like, as of now, I would say we're pretty much in like the top 3, 4. But I think we just have to keep grinding and keep improving, because all this game was like more like, okay, we made playoffs, we'll like chill, and then once we had playoffs, we're pretty bad. But no, we actually want to win it all, and I think that's the mindset we have, so we will keep going.
That's a great mindset to have, and I feel like we hear that from every single player coming on. They're like, we want to keep going, we want to keep improving, we want to keep getting better. We're going to be looking at the next game that's coming up, and that is going to be Vitality going up against GX. You yourself, obviously being in the league, you have experience going up against both of these mid laner. When you're looking at Jackies being a rookie that came in earlier to split, does it feel like he has been putting in a lot of effort in terms of continuously improving himself as splits go by?
Yeah, I think Jackies is definitely one of the rookies that has surprised me the most, to be fair. I feel like he does not really care what he plays. Like, he just plays his way, and if he thinks a champion is strong, he just picks it. Also, I feel like he's one of the mids that is not scared to fight you in lane. Like, if you fight him, he will fight you back. It's kind of like Caps in a way. And I think the only problem that he has is a bit of, like, his mid-game. He gets caught, whatever, like, sometimes, whatnot. But in general, I think great mechanics, good player. Seems like a cool guy, so I'm glad that he's doing well, and I hope to beat him again in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing Jackies as well, because he feels like a guy that's always limit testing. I think that's where I also see a bit of former Caps in there who's always limit testing too. And sometimes you're going to get something that looks ridiculously bad, but other times you'll get plays like the one you had against Caps, where you actually get the play against him. And I think going up against Vetheo, it is slightly Jackie's favors, because despite Vetheo being very good early game, I think a lot of people have been talking about how it doesn't always look like he's putting in enough damage when you get to the mid to late game, and making sure that the early game lead is actually, well, put where it belongs.
Is that something you've noticed as well when it comes to a player like Vetheo?
Yeah, I think Vetheo is probably worse, I would say, in like lane, and also worse in like mid game. So I actually believe that Jackies is just, as of now, like the better player, I would say, the better mid laner. Also, I feel like his champion pool is just way more like diversified. And yeah, I can't wait to see this matchup, but I believe Jackis will kinda stomp, I believe so.
But when it comes to this matchup specifically, do you think that's enough? Is Jackie's enough of a trump card to have against Vitality?
I think if bot lane is not on fire and top lane is not on fire, I do believe Giants has the better jungler as well. And I think, yeah, their mid jungle is what they have to focus on, and if they're ahead, they will probably win the game.
When you're looking then from the side of Vitality, what else can Vetheo do particularly in order to make sure that the team is set up for success?
Roam bot. Make sure that
Give Carzzy resources.
Give Carzzy resources and he will do his magic. DJ Carzzy, as we call him. Yeah, I think bot lane has to be ahead or top lane, and that's how they usually win games. Because when I watch VIT mid game, it's like Vetheo is on side alone, gets caught, then they force a fight, they lose, or they win 4v5 and whatnot. So I think, yeah, their bot lane and top lane is for sure their strongest points.
Feels like both of these mid laners, when you talked about them, it's like they're in mid game, they get caught, and then oopsie, you know. Is that something that you're going to be looking forward to in your Fokker matchup against Vitality as well?
Yeah, I mean, usually I look for like weaknesses of these players. And I think usually when you have like rookies or people with not much experience, they do make a lot of mistakes in mid game where they think they're safe, but they're really not. Like there's a TP ward behind or there's your support waiting and whatnot. And also I think in the end, it's like a mental game where if I go forward, is he actually going to walk backwards or is he going to fight me back? So yeah, we'll see.
All right, we're going to have to wait and see, but we're ready to head into the game to see for ourselves which one of these mid laners is going to be coming out victorious. So let's head over to our casters for our game, Vitality, going up against GIANTX.
Well, Ginny, it sounds like whoever stays out of the side lane will be victorious based on what Nisqy said. I like how over the course of that segment, he roasted every single part of Vetheo's gameplay. Yeah. And I hope for Vetheo's sake that he now gets to prove that wrong, show up, stomp Jackie's, but based on the last performances, it's looking a little bit Jackie's favorite, at least in the 1v1.
Yeah, but Vitality are kind of popping off a little bit at the moment, so you kind of got to take a bit of either end. But I do think that when you come into it, it's going to be more so about trying to enable the team, to enable the mid laners, right? And I think a huge portion of that has kind of been where Vitality have found a little bit of that success with Hylissang roaming, and a lot of the times Vetheo has gotten these early leads, but hasn't really been able to convert them into a lot of out front damage, whereas Jackie's hasn't been able to get as much in the early game gold, but has been doing a heap of work with those early resources.
Definitely want to see if GX just continue down the road of allowing Jackie's to be that center star. I like that they have that player who is going to step up and take that spotlight. Of course, if you had to put a label to it on the Vitality side, I say Carzzy is one of those players, but they've also shown that Photon can be that big carry too. Part of the reason that we're so optimistic about Vitality is that after week one, where they really just they did something. I don't even want to talk about week one. After it looked pretty rough in week one, with so many members getting caught out individually, week two really came together. I need to see if they can continue the momentum as we move later into the season. For now, Yone going to be banned away. Jackie's has played it before. A champion that he's not won on yet, but obviously is a very mechanically skilled player, and don't really want to give him any kind of comfort.
Does mean Skarner and Rumble are still both up and available though, so curious to see if Vitality are going to grab that. Photon has looked exceptional when he's gotten his hands onto the Rumble, so maybe the ban that GIANTX go towards. But there's the Skarner ban actually coming through from Vitality, so actually going to be an option to get both of those big top laners off the board.
Something you pointed out earlier, Rob, Lyncas, of course, yet to play a champion twice. 5 different picks over the 5 games that he's played. So the question is, will there be repeats today? Or does the jungle pool just keep getting deeper? Although to be fair, when you're only playing a 9-game regular season, I think even if you play 9 different champions, we're not going to give you credit that you have like the most insane champion pool. It's just not a big enough sample size. But with the Rumble taken, top lane could be the priority. Instead, Ezreal first pick. Again, Carzzy, one of 2 players in our league who had that success before the buffs on 14-12, is a champion who has been pretty decently buffed. And Kai'Sa, of course, is going to be the immediate response. Long-time counter pick, I think, originally popularized in the LPL.
Yeah, the whole idea behind it is essentially that because Ezreal has his dash away, you want to be able to land the Void Missile, try and use your ultimate to chase him down, and then it becomes basically impossible for Ezreal to match the damage output that Kai'Sa can do in the 1v1. So kind of in that post 6 is really where you see the Kai'Sa come online and seek those 1v1 opportunities. But let's be real, it's when you get to competitive, it's harder to force those 1v1 opportunities because there's so many map movements that are going on. But TF also going to make sure that he never really feels too alone, Carzzy.
Yeah,
I was going
to say, it's like a nice warm hug, the knowing that this guy can show up out of nowhere and just stun anybody he damn well pleases. So Twist of Fate's so popular. obviously a pick that has been hit repeatedly, but remains that side lane terror. And with the Taliyah locked in, we know it's not going to be a flex. Talked about in solo queue as a mid or top laner, but here in pro, essentially just top.
Yeah, we saw it a little bit in mid lane in the LPL, but realistically, you're going to see it top. And I think it's a good answer into a lot of what D'Antonio wants to bring to the table. We've seen him bring out the Rumble or tanks. And with the Rumble gone, he's probably going to default back towards some sort of tank. And then that's where TF at least can get the push, start to get some chip damage on the turrets, start to accelerate, and then look for plays elsewhere on the map. So, and you've got great side laning with both the Taliyah and the TF. So we're definitely setting up a very clear understanding of how Vitality want to operate in this game.
Definitely are. Want to move up, want to split up the map. Do need some, maybe a bit of frontline here, depending on how volatile they want to make their composition. Our region generally, historically, has relied on a tank, has relied on some sort of reliable go button. Hylissang, normally that reliable go button, of course, no stranger to the concept. Alistar already taken away from him. Something else to follow. Rel is, I think, still... Leona's picking up a lot of steam here, but Rel still seems like the most powerful support in a vacuum without the context of the draft to be seen.
Yeah, she kind of just does everything. Great engage, can get herself out of sticky situations with the jump as well. So you kind of opt into a lot of things, but I'm actually happy to just take the Rel into, or give the Rel across, because I feel like that's what Hylissang more than likely going to go towards. And then it'd be a case of what does Lyncas want to bring. I prefer having more follow-up CC for the Rel. So maybe they want to go back towards something like a Maokai or something along these lines if they really want to just have another tank that can provide CC for these fights. But I'm curious to see exactly what way they want to go.
Yeah, they're going to go for something more stable or something a little bit more explosive. Renekton the ban there. Braum was also taken away. Yasuo, now limited as well. Again, just prioritizing eliminating those conventional counter picks. Even if we haven't seen the Antonio play them yet, this split... Varus mid, something Jackie's has brought out once before, and another champion that would really hate to see Yasuo, so glad that one's gone.
I think the Varus mid just works well here. You get double poke with the Kai'Sa Varus. We've seen how good those two as a unit can be, but it does mean the Antonio probably wants to go for some sort of AP top laner, so it could be something like the Zac, which we've seen a little bit into the TF, because you can use that leap to close the distance, try and look for aggressive trades, and can play quite far up if you want to try and deny access to the wave into turret push from the TF, but we'll have to see if that's going to be the angle that they want to take. Right now, it feels like Rel is going to be the next pick for this guy. Although, okay.
Senna. The option instead. What? Where are we going? Vitality. This is going to be a difficult composition to play. Again, a lot of range. Senna, Ezreal, bottom lane. A lot of tools to bully out the Kai'Sa early on.
Taliyah, mid TF. Yeah.
Kai'Sa notoriously short range. Normally in Ezreal, a lot of Ezreal lanes, as long as you have a somewhat decent support matchup. But Ezreal
mid.
Mid. What?
Okay.
Look, I'm not here to doubt it. If Ezreal's good, he's also probably good in other lanes too. But one of the Ezreals on this team we have seen be very good on a champion that is very skill intensive. And Vetheo is, of course, a very skilled player.
Also, just the last time I saw Vitality pick an Ezreal mid, it didn't go particularly well. So I'm going to hold off. I do think it gives you opportunities to, like, hey, I'm going to try and counteract a lot of the push. But I love the response from GIANTX, which is, hey, we're still going to keep the Kai'Sa Ezreal matchup by, at least it looks like at the moment, sending the Kai'Sa in towards the mid lane. And then you kind of just got the Varus, who should have decent push on bot side. It can look to do a lot. So I also dislike the lack of engage on Vitality. Even if you were going to go for the Senna, I think Ornn would have been a much better pick here, because realistically you have no go button. Sure, you've got some poke, but you're heavily reliant on rapid fire TF to get into range to try and go kart start fights, and there's a bloody Malphite on the other side.
Well, now it's Kai'Sa mid and Varus bot lane to balance out. Just follow the Ezreal wherever he goes. Okay, I like the angle here. Rob, I have been very much bamboozled. Presumably the teams were ready for this. They've been in scrims. I have seen over the years many eras of flex pick. 80 carry flex picks, very rarely one of them. But here we are, 2024. The time is now.
But like we saw this from Vitality with perks on the roster, right?
Yeah.
Where they tried to flex this Ezreal into the mid lane.
And
a little bit less catching people off guard, but it didn't quite work out. I don't dislike the movement. It's just I dislike the lack of engage that they've opened up with. And with Sejuani and Malphite on the other side, you've so much, and even Leona, there's so much follow-up. You have to be so careful as Vitality about how you play this.
Pressure on Vitality to execute well. The good news is Vetheo won't be too scared of the Malphite as long as he doesn't burn the Arcane Shift aggressively.
I feel like the only place Vitality can play is top lane. Because
What?
like, so there are Tahm Kenches I've seen that can play Engage.
Yeah.
And his name is Carzzy.
Yeah.
And look, Hilly
Mako, Carzzy.
has decent mechanics, but I don't think you're going to match how insane Carzzy is in that pick. So your only real setup for this Taliyah is Photon, but you're against Malphite, which you don't really want to play into. Vetheo has no setup mid to try and get you into position, and Jackie says the move speed buff to get out of there. I just feel like you've limited so many of these opportunities as Vitality.
This is a high skill composition, I think it's safe to say, from the side of Vitality. In general, when one side has Leona and Sejuani as easy, reliable engage, Malphite there as well, we'll see what kind of build the Antonio wants to go for. That comp is just going to have an easier time playing the game. Vitality, if they play clean, they've got a ton of power in the skirmishes, but they lack, as you said, in just about every single position, that reliable setup. Gold card is all right, Flick is all right, Tahm Kench W is all right, but really, as you mentioned before, only that gold card can be considered reliable. Everything else is so circumstantial.
Yeah, you need to blow up in this game incredibly quickly as Vitality if you hope to try and succeed. And that's why I do like what they're doing at the moment. Lyncas is splitting the map to try and play around topside and play around that gold card. It looks like they're just going to try and kill the Antonio over and over again and get Photon into a position where he's just able to win out incredibly hard. You can see where you're not really pushing in top lane too hard, but it looks like they may try and set up a dive. This Vetheo,
Vetheo's losing the all in. Press the attack already procced. Jackie's taking his time. W Vetheo! Woo! Essence shift forward. Oh, it looked dire. It looked grim there for a second. That rising spell force, that extra passive attack speed paying off.
I wish we could bring up a little picture-in-picture of Vetheo. Sorry, Nisqy saying Vetheo's laning phase is worse.
Yes, laning phase, just like overall. Yeah, well, in the 1v1, Ezreal versus Kai'Sa, he wins out, and as predicted, Rob, the Antonio going to fall as well. 1K gold lead, 2.5 minutes in. Top side for Vitality. Off to a kicking start.
Yeah, I mean, mid lane, we see this trade fairly often where you take the fleet footwork and you think, oh, I can go for these trades, but the press the attack over time just does so much work for Vetheo in that one. And then we already highlighted what was going to happen on that top side. So this is exactly what Vitality needed to get this game going, because side lanes are going to be the way they try and play this out. And you need to very much dictate the pace of this game if you hope to play that style.
Lyncas wandering down. Juhan luckily going to finish the red in time. Now down to the Krugs. Question is, are they going to run into each other here? Lyncas does get the smite down.
And now Juhan's in a horrible position. You need a Vetheo coming down. This is a 4v1.
They need to make a decisive call here, and the decisive call is Juhan will give his life in the exchange. It goes in for a bit of damage. Flick back is there into the rock field. Who are they going to give the kill to? Looks like donation to Carzzy, perhaps, is the name of the game, although undecided as of this moment. Lyncas is going to grab that one. Vitality, 3 kills again. Breakneck pace here in the early game, and I think Juhan just assumed that they had a hand shook on splitting the map. He was not ready to see Lyncas in his own side of the jungle.
And I do love when you like come in as a commentator or anyone who talks about draft and you're like, this is the way I see it happening. They have no real chance. I really don't like this. And then they just get 3 kills and you're like, ah, well, analysis is out the window now because they are just fed as all hell. So Vitality are in a really good spot. And now Lyncas with 2 kills.
Rob,
he's going to be in a fantastic spot if he wants to go for these games.
We're going to have to talk about this in the review, man, because honestly, you should have just predicted that Ezreal and Kai'Sa were going to all in each other at level 2 and the Vetheo was going to win, man. I don't really know why you didn't
don't know why I couldn't see it coming.
It's okay. We're all here
and the Antonio's dead as well. Sorry, it's 4-0. It's going to be 4-0. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a learning moment, Rob. It's Photon living really his best life. 0 kill pressure. The Antonio annoying. Q harass, of course. Always going to be frustrating to deal with, but taking poke damage before the tower dive kicks off is not what you want. Juhan on the way up, but there's really nowhere for Antonio to go. Gold card there. Lyncas already taking flash forward. It's over. The kill. It's done. Photon, though, likely to go down in the follow-up. Locked up by the permafrost. Juhan will at least get a kill back, but that's a lot of CS just getting deleted under the tower.
The Lyncas and Photon might have been able to play that out, but the extra terror shot onto Lyncas and Photon just put them too low, so not able to try and play that one, and no cooldowns really on Lyncas to follow up either. But so nice by Juhan to get one back, but it's a disaster for the Antonio on the top side. You can already see an 800 gold lead for that Twisted Fate.
See, Hylissang going up though, looking for the follow-up, bit of CC, but perhaps overstaying. Ignite ticking down with Thick Skin, healing him up so much. The second proc on the Zenith Blade, going forward, the Eclipse there too. Hylissang in trouble, flat forward, the Q. IgNar getting that one. Carzzy still a ton of health as support, just knocked down.
And now there's no mana on Carzzy, so try to just walk up to see if you can trade TP coming back into lane, but I think Patrik and IgNar should be relatively safe to try and clear this one. Yeah, they're just going to back it up. So we'll lose those 3 CS in the back, but they're happy enough as Patrik has a TP of his own to get back to lane.
Yeah, crucially, Hylissang able to pick up the bombies, so can at least push that wave in. Give Carzzy the time to reset as once again, level 5 for the Antonio, about to tick over to level 6. He needs one more creep. They're not going to give it to him. Oh, it's just a single creep of XP, please.
Patrik is coming in behind though. They don't realize that the Antonio is basically trying to bait them in here. He's going to get the level 6 off this next minion and then see if he can get Lyncas to come up here, or maybe he can play for the early Rift Herald.
This creative look here from the side of GX. Starting to wander down, just wanting to play for the grubs. Again, proactive use of the TP here from Patrik, resetting, going to the top side of the Rift, hoping to get either the TP or the ulti out from Photon. And meanwhile, Hylissang still just catching the wave while Carzzy's in the mid lane, picking up some souls. So overall, GX, not too bad, punishing the general lack of wave clear that the Tahm Kench Senna is having, or is going to have, by just going topside with their TP and looking to knock down some plates.
Yeah, you can even see where Hylissang is as well. He wasn't really hard pushing that wave, so you get the jump on towards hitting this tower first as well. Carzzy going to spot out that the Antonio's there, but you're still getting gold in towards Patrik too, into what have been going relatively well, let's say, for the GIANTX bot lane anyway.
Definitely had. More gold though. Now as GX start to push in, canceling the Antonio was big. He didn't opt to reset any further. Now sticking around, hoping that they can maybe make the dive happen. But Carzzy quick with the root. Instantly they go in on Photon. Zenith Blade follow. Oh man, it's so simple. You point, you click. The enemy team just dies. GX making good work of the competition. In the meantime, Tahm Kench is proxying. Not something I thought I'd be saying, but here we are. I think GX happy with that one.
Yeah, especially since, you know, Hylissang getting some extra gold isn't really going to turn into something massive, and you tried to protect that top side as Vitality, and it's now come back to bite you, so you've got a ton more gold that's coming through onto Patrik, and the opportunities for you to try and play outside lanes are getting more and more difficult because towers are starting to, well, get chunked. You can always look for Patrik and IgNar to try and take that top tower if they want to go back there. So for Vitality, you need to try and clean this game out smoothly, or you're going to start to fall further behind to GIANTX.
Well, and remember that, what was it, 3 kills to 0?
Yeah.
You were like, it's going to be 4 soon. Well, then it was 4-1, and now it's 4-3. And it feels like GIANTX have done a pretty good job of navigating what was a pretty terrible early game and salvaging with that topside play to bring it back within touching distance. Again, 500 gold separates them, 2-1 on the grub score. GX, if they can get that second spawn, get up to 4, it's going to be that much easier for them to push and keep this pressure up as they're already first on the Drake. It just feels like they've been one step ahead in tempo ever since that top lane TP.
They've been doing a fantastic job, and now they get to move in towards this bottom side as well. They actually might be able to cut off Vitality from entering bot side and get some more plates for Patrik. It only kind of seems like Jackie's is the one that's struggling a little bit in defending himself from the tower from Vetheo, but no mana on towards Vetheo means that he can't really pressure Jackie's either. So at the moment, GIANTX doing a fantastic job here.
Definitely is a good look. Of course, 51 stacks remaining on the coal for Jackie's. 1-2 items. Really more going to start to see the Kai'Sa look a little bit more powerful. The build is still a question mark. The gold card locked in. Jackie's already backing up. Lyncas, you're going to have time to go for the flick, and Jackie's just spam emotes a little bit. He knows he just got 3 people's time for nothing. Just an E-cast.
And you might be wondering, hey, look, I'm looking at the top of my screen going, oh, well, there's 900 gold for Vitality. Vitality are winning, right? But it's the difficulty of operating in this composition means you need to be further ahead. Carzzy's going further behind here.
Carzzy. Root now coming through for Hylissang, but he's not going to be able to save Carzzy because IgNar's already on the chase. Locked down, Carzzy nowhere to go. Patrik grabbing the kill. Vitality looking out of sorts here, just so aggressive.
But this is what I was saying, it's very difficult for Vitality to set plays up. You are heavily reliant on Photon to be that main source of CC. Hylissang can throw his body into the works, but that's so unreliable, and now he's got to get himself out of dodge. But this is where Vitality are going to struggle, and GIANTX are just abusing that fact by playing very aggressive when there isn't Photon on the map.
Yeah, Solar Flare gets Hylissang's flash. It's going to be something that's easy to punish, and the fight's coming up. And while Jackie's is suffering, as you highlighted, 400 gold lead for Vetheo, not really going to balance out a lot of the scaling that's coming through on this competition. Photon on the top side, 1.1k. Looks great. Yes, slightly inflated by the fact that that is a Twisted Fate. But he's going to need to be incredibly consistent in finding these angles because, I mean, we've all been there, right? That's a Malphite on the enemy team. No matter how good you think you're doing, if the Nexus isn't dead, he's going to outvalue you in a fight.
And Photon is about to lose his top tower as well. Look at the recess that Patrik has gone for. Immediately moving up towards his top side. You've Sejuani in the area. It is 4 Void Grubs, but it means you can immediately take these Void Grubs and move up towards this top side to take the tower with the numbers advantage. Hylissang still on bottom side, almost has that teleport available, but it's 5 members of GX and they'll happily trade bot tower for top right now, or even just damage on bot tower. I don't even think Hilly can take it.
Yeah, again, Tahm Kench. It doesn't say this in his champion description, but it probably should. Not very good at taking towers.
Yeah, it turns out if you lick a rock, it doesn't do much damage to it.
It's not going to stop him from trying, Rob. He'll just keep licking. And in the meantime, Jackie's still getting a lot of attention. I mean, we talked to Nitro this week, right? And I think it's been pretty clear to everybody, like, Jackie's is the man for GX. And Vitality are clearly looking to punish that. They sent 3 members mid earlier. They sent Carzzy mid on a couple of occasions now, but he's kind of sitting here quietly. He's up in CS. Yes, he's down in gold, but he's not really under any pressure to do anything because his bot lane just keeps moving around the map and getting bigger advantages.
This is brave from Vitality. I'm not 100% certain that they killed the Antonio under the tower. Like, even with Carzzy starting to roam, I think the CC the Antonio brings means he's going to be completely fine.
Ulti. Yeah, that's not enough damage.
Yeah.
He's still standing. Hylissang might feel like he's in a similar state. They are going to try to dive the Tahm Kench instead of just focusing down the tower. Do they have the damage to finish off Hylissang? IgNar still tanking beautifully. Senna ultimate across the top. They can't quite finish the job. The arrow will do it. Empowered there from Patrik. Blight stacks enough. Hylissang will go down, as does the Antonio in the meantime, but tower going to fall here.
Nicely done by Vitality in the bottom side, though. That was a difficult dive to try and handle, and they did it incredibly well just playing at the edge of turret range. And now you get trade from towers, but in the grand scheme of things, you're still getting objectives going for GIANTX. They're going to be able to reset now a minute until the next dragon, and that's why Hilly TP in top wants to disrupt that tempo.
Destiny there. IgNar should just be dead. The flash over the wall. Abyssal dive won't catch him. Important first tower gold did go to GX. Again, additional 300. Vitality still 1k ahead, but 5 grub buff on the opposite side. Already a Drake stacking up. Cole getting closer and closer. That'll be an instant 300 to GX. And Vitality in the mid game have to be clean, have to be decisive in these plays. Punish the flash from IgNar being down, but everyone else still has their flash up, right? Ulti still up for the Antonio.
And that's, he kind of held it. He could have used it in the dive, but held on to it knowing that the dragon was going to be up. So like, you're kind of playing more for objectives here at GIANTX, and I do like the thought process of, hey, that's going to be the main focus here. But he has teleport available, whereas Vitality have invested a lot. So for GIANTX, send the Antonio top, and then use your numbers advantage to start playing around this dragon on the bottom side.
Boots now going to come through from Jackie's. Courtesy of the inspiration tree as well as static should finish. A couple extra bits of AD just to make sure that he hits that threshold for the empowered Kathy and Rain, Kaisa Q. Vitality Wu just burned down the Drake, tie things up 1-1, but Juhan can just fish. Obviously very beefy, very hard for Vitality to full commit to a single member at this point in the game.
Yeah, surprised GIANTX didn't want to commit because they do have a, you know, this first item starting to come through. They are in a really good spot when it comes to their composition, just the ultimate economy that they had available, but they just pushed out now with the Antonio, so it's going to be a question of, is it Rift Herald going to be the main focus for them, where they want to try and push their advantage and really push Vitality out of this game?
Hylissang, bit extra CC for the permafrost follow-up on the solar flare. Good ulti coming from Patrik. Immediate flashes out from the side of Vitality, but already one member is dead. Do they want to keep the play going? The Antonio getting lower and lower. Patrik waiting on the next round of cooldowns. That's the ulti out from Juhan, but they can't really commit to Vetheo. Wall in from Lyncas. Juhan. Arctic assaults out to safety, and again, Vitality coming up empty-handed. They're ahead in tempo. They can't just try to start the Herald here. It is on a piece of vision, but blinking health bars from the side of GX means this should just be Vitality's.
They have the TP to come back in if they want to really commit to it, but no, looks like GIANTX just happy to try and back that one out. So Flash is invested by Vitality to make sure they can push them back, but they will get the Rift Herald. And as a composition that wants to take towers in side lane, this is going to be a big buff to them in trying to get down that top tower.
Definitely is. Good news as well, Photon finishing up the Kraken Slayer. is going to start to hurt, do a lot more sustained damage. We can take a look back at this play again. The amount of CC tools available to GX is just disgusting.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you managed to get Vetheo and Carzzy being able to move back into their own side of the jungle, so it's hard for GIANTX to really commit to people, and a huge amount was invested into Hylissang, means that Vitality feel way more comfortable to step up. And the Antonio not quite tanky enough just yet to take on the full barrage of Vitality's damage, but IgNar got another race taken, is he?
He's trying to get there. Ooh, Black Cleaver coming in for Carzzy. I like this, especially on a team with so much physical damage between the Ezreal and the Twisted Fate. Nice to have that additional shred. And obviously as a Senna, you're normally a very easy target, especially if you go for lethality. And while your Q scaling does scale with lethality, you will get more healing. The extra utility, the extra health, a little bit extra movement speed, always going to feel pretty good. As Carzzy now has to be careful here. IgNar, though, just taking a lot of poke. And Carzzy happy to have a couple of extra souls, really.
Yeah, Carzzy also realistically only going to be hitting front line in this game, so the shred that you get on towards the Antonio and Juhan going to be pretty key for a lot of members that want to go 2-3 items, or even before they pick up Armor Pen, or if you're Photon, probably never pick up Armor Pen, so it's definitely going to help out in a lot in that way. But at the moment, GIANTX haven't really been able to find the same windows that they had to either trade on the map or look to play around the Antonio, so Vitality are doing a good job of kind of slowing the pace down a little bit, not finding or giving opportunities for team fights. And it's just going to be a case of now sticking Photon and Lyncas eventually in towards these side lanes and just trying to see if they can try and play out through them.
I need to see, again, how GX navigate this mid-game, because as you highlighted earlier, it's pretty clear what Vitality want to be doing, and for GX, we know what happens if they get late enough in the game, if they get the opportunity to front to back, or if they get the opportunity to jump on a Senna. Carzzy's not going to take the bait, so we'll just poke his head in. However, when we talk about GX, one thing we say consistently when it comes to praise is set plays, early game, very good from GX. Clearly a very well-coached, very well-practiced teams around things like the lane swap we saw from Patrik. After that, it gets a bit more wishy-washy. The vision becomes a little bit less clear.
And Vitality have just had such a clean mid.
No. There's a reason that the one weakness that Nisqy could point to for both mid laners was side laning, right? These are guys who get caught a decent amount, both Vetheo and Jackies. The difference, of course, this time around is that they both got pretty mobile, pretty difficult to lock down champions. But of course, for Vitality, they have a Twisted Fate who makes Kai'Sa much less invisible and much more stunned.
Dragon in a minute's time. GIANTX in decent position at pushing in boss. They know that the Rift Tower more than likely going to be used mid to try and take that turret, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Jackies push this and then try and rotate in to link with his team in mid lane. IgNar even sitting off to the side here, wants to try and engage if Vitality commit to that, but oh, he's going to get caught here.
Here we go, getting caught on the side lane, the flash over the wall. Hylissang, the slow's already there, the Abyssal Dive sure to follow. They don't even need it, flick back and a shutdown.
Nisqy's a prophet, man. He literally said, hey, he's going to get caught in the side lane with a ward behind him. That's exactly what happened. Nicely done by Vitality to find that pick, and now numbers disadvantage. This becomes way more difficult for GIANTX to try and commit.
Yeah, because realistically, again, when you have a tanky composition like this, if you can layer your CC really well, it's still, you can reliably win fights, but if it's one of your carries who dies, not one of those tanky frontliners, well, that dream kind of falls apart. You're entirely relying on the burst damage coming in from Patrik, which will allow him to tear through the Herald, but not a whole lot else.
Vitality setting up for another pick, though. They know Jackies is just open as TP, so they're going to try and play for the pick rather than the big team fight, but they missed their window of opportunity, and now Vitality will have to try and take this team fight against GX.
Carzzy staying in the midst. Photon prepping the gold card. GX, death ball.
The good thing about it being every objective that they fight for is that the flashes are back up. Apart from Hylissang, Vitality can still play the exact same way they did at that topside fight.
Challenge, of course. Edge of Night. They need to get it off of Patrik. Nice sidesteps on the Q and the Antonio fishing for the flank. If they can get any of the flashes, any of the mobility tools burned before the fight starts, GX make it that much easier on themselves. The Antonio about to walk into vision. Hylissang caught out for a brief moment. Photon off to the side. Lyncas in the back line. The Antonio, when does he want to pull the trigger? Taking their time now. Hylissang going to drop. GX patient. The Antonio still just waiting in the dark as they're going to set their sights on the Drake.
A great learning from that last fight. They were like, hang on, we kind of blew everything too early and then had nothing for when Vitality wanted to re-engage. Instead, we'll find the pick with Patrick's ultimate and then just hold the Antonio as this pressure point to deny Vitality the re-engage. And GIANTX find the pick, they find what they want off the Dragon. Really well played.
Definitely. Second items, though, now starting to come through from Vitality. Maybe they'll be able to leverage those to find more picks, to find more angles. Interesting to see the Hourglass coming in, really just trying to make sure that the Antonio cannot find those snap engages. But here you see just nice bit of patience from the side of GX. They could just throw all their cooldowns down, but really take their time.
And the Antonio knows he's on vision, but you can see he doesn't ever commit. All he wants to do is just stand up and let GX finish Hylissang. And if anyone on Vitality tries to approach, that's when he unloads with the ultimate. But it's just about buying space, and it's that threat of ultimate more so than anything else.
He's like a big Spanish bouncer. You know, he's like, no, you're not coming into this fight. If you want to jump in, if you want to use any mobility to participate in this fight, I will immediately ult you.
I don't know how to say no, not tonight in Spanish.
I really should, because that is not hard, and I did take Spanish at some point, but I have no idea. Does not matter. We'll learn in between this. Duolingo will help us.
Perfect. No, it won't. I've done Duolingo for German. All I can say is that
the fly?
I can say der Elephant is sehr schön. I am never going to use that sentence ever. I don't want to know that the elephant
that's what people say, and then one day, you know, you're on a date looking at elephants in the zoo. Seems like it would come in handy, bro. That's all I'm saying. We need an elephant champion in League. Then it would be useful.
Yeah. Or die Eule is sehr klug. But God forbid I want to ask for an apple in a supermarket. I'm screwed.
No, yeah, you're in trouble. You get mit Karte bitte, and that's as far as your German's going to go for 6 years. Those are the rules.
Yeah, mit Karte and mit Käse. Those are the two things I need to survive.
Languages. Vitality. Oh, getting caught. Lyncas picked off here as Jackie's goes in. Not today. So GX are starting to say, Knockup now going in on the Carzzy. Fight just continues. Carzzy's got really nowhere left to go. Vetheo finally coming on the way in, but Carzzy locked up. The cleanse now coming out. The Antonio flashing forward, looking to lay the smack down. And down goes Carzzy. Vetheo waiting in the darkness, continuing to throw out abilities, but isn't really going to do much here. The good news for Vitality, though, on the side lane, Photon already looking to knock down that tier 2, and IgNar's just getting chunked out. This Ezreal really hurts. Oh, Vetheo's clean with it. The Baron still being attempted. AK getting lower. Vetheo, there's just no way he can get in here. 5K getting lower.
Does he kill Juhan?
Ulti across the top. Nice sidestep. Just a bit of a leash in the end, though. GX getting the Baron. The TP coming up, though. They want to keep the fight going. Senna just to make sure the backs are canceled. Photon walking in, wants to land the gold card. He's going to hit Juhan. Flash over the wall. Immediate ulti coming in from the Varus to try and disengage. Vetheo, is he going to go over? How confident is he? The purple worm's already fallen. Vitality just want to get some scraps here. Just want to get some money back, but not going to get much of anything.
They did a nice job of delaying them as well, but unfortunately the wave's just not really in their favor to try and take another turret right now. But GIANTX, they get the Baron and they get out relatively free, although IgNar had to give his life. So Vitality going to be very much in the back foot now as GIANTX start to come back out of base.
The good news is Vetheo looks very strong. The bad news is I don't think anyone's ever just going to walk into him without any support ever again in this game. We see GX now much more determined to group to fight here. Vitality trying to get up to these waves as long as they can while GX are split across the respective lanes just to stop the push. Don't want to give up any towers that they do not have to.
And as well, the good news is that a lot of those, like the mid-outer tower is still up, so the amount of value GIANTX get on map coverage is going to be relatively low with this Baron take. So if Vitality kind of go, hey, yes, you've got Baron, but we're going to leave Photon top to take the tier 2 instead, you kind of end up in these somewhat even trades, although it'll be more gold going to GIANTX, but the map equation still stays the same.
Yeah. Of course, ulti coming in for Vetheo as well. Looks like people were not ushering the ulti in, so the minions taking a lot more damage to ushering the minions in. As GX gonna get things kicked off for a moment. The safety of the Tahm Kench, keeping Carzzy standing. The Antonio waiting over the wall. Lots of damage going down on the Malphite. He might be forced to ult soon, and that was the moment. Good attempt by Vitality. Spot out the flank, spot out the angle, deny that potential follow-up tool. And I'm gonna be honest, Rob, I don't think this Baron is gonna get a whole hell of a lot past the 1,500 gold that it gives you when you take it.
But the fact that the Antonio had to escape with his ultimate means he doesn't have that up for the Infernal Dragon in 30 seconds. So not only are Vitality getting these waves pushed out, might catch Jackie's as well as see Lyncas.
We've been here before. Can he W and ult to safety? W onto Lyncas, maybe not the ideal target. Flick back is there. Ezreal ult to follow, and that's a shutdown.
And now Dragon number 2 going across to Vitality because there is just no hope GIANTX have in defending this. And GIANTX just felt uncomfortable in pulling the trigger on that mid play. You can see Vetheo a little close to the wall, but weren't convinced even with the flash up that they might have been able to get him. So Vitality now, they get Dragon, TP from Patrik to the top side to see if they can answer for the tier 2 that's been taken mid by Vitality.
This is not a good Baron.
No.
they've lost money since they got the Baron, and they've lost a Dragon. I mean, well played by Vitality, honestly. Expected, said, hey, this Malphite has to be somewhere around here. Anticipated the Raptors pit play, forcing the ulti out from the Antonio, really just stopped that from doing much other than grabbing this single tier 2 on the top side. Their mid lane tier 1 is still up.
And this is not an easy to execute composition. This relies heavily on having a lot of vision, being able to play around it, communication between multiple different members to find these quick picks. You can even see there, like getting Jackies, it was Lyncas leading with his ultimate to have the teleport come through from Photon, catching multiple people, or catching Jackies out. This is kind of where Vitality have to play on this edge at all points in time, and it's working out great for them.
I think the good news for the side of GX is you've still got a lot of poke. The Kai'Sa AP damage is only going to get higher, and if those W's keep connecting, I mean, we saw what Rahel did, right? You can bring a game back from the brink. Now an attempt to find a pick of their own on the side of GX. They look at Lyncas' flash. Decent amount of damage. Carzzy now in trouble. Hylissang doesn't even have time to push the button, flashing away from the solar flare. There's nothing really on the map for GX to take, but content with the pick for now.
Hoping to just get this mid lane tower, but no real neutral objectives is going to hurt them a little bit as Juhan starts to come in. TP coming through though, he was spotted because he walked just out of the bush there.
Juhan walking up to Vetheo, yeah, as you highlighted. Mid tier 1 finally going to fall. 26.5 minutes into the game. Gold just about dead even. And again, on paper, you know, brain off front to back RuneScape duel, you know, GX win, but Vitality keep finding these angles. If they keep catching individual members out, if they keep catching Jackies out, you know, twice now on the side lane. There's 3 deaths, 1 from that level 1 all-in or level 2 all-in, and 2 on the side lane. Things are very easy for the side of Vitality.
And this is a flash game now for GIANTX. It's, okay, Photon, Lyncas' flasher down, let's try and focus on these two. If you can get the Antonio to immediately engage onto them, you can blow them up, win the fight, start to continue this pressure forward. But the second you start to overextend or don't do your due diligence in clearing out these wards that are just in behind you, like that's where you're going to cause issues. That was a zoom in. I didn't even know we had that. Not that I'm distracted. This one just got bald.
What does it do?
I don't know.
Yep, that's it. That's all it does. Okay, never mind. We learned together, dear audience. It's very expensive telestration software, by the way. Well, they will at least pop the Edge of Night. But I think this is one of the reasons that whenever Varus shows up in meta, if Ezreal is playable, often Ezreal shows up as well. It's just because these two champions fighting for mid push is some of the least interactive gameplay you will see in League of Legends. They both do it incredibly well. Although now they're ready to interact. Vetheo. TP behind just to make sure that they're safe. Bit of poke. Again, IgNar, the Antonio, just hoping, waiting for a cooldown to be burnt so they can immediately follow up.
Yeah, it's Photon and Lyncas are the two people that you want. Photon's flash could be up that little bit sooner, but GIANTX playing forward. Watch the Antonio set up for the engage.
Poke from Jackies. Starting to hurt. Hitting a minion, though, is going to cost them. Of course, when you hit the champions, the only time to get the cooldown reduction. So really needs to just keep connecting. Interesting arrow coming out. Not going to connect on the Vetheo. And Vetheo, gotta say, you know, while he wasn't super active after that first blood, has been doing very well in the later stages of the game.
Oh, they're going in blind here. GIANTX have done a good job of trying to bait this one out, but Carzzy over the wall.
Yeah, perfect vision for now. Courtesy of Photon's ultimate. Photon will now rejoin the fight. Has the TP as well. Nice pick onto Jackies, but the disruption now coming in from Juhan. Immediately ulti coming in from Jackies as well. The Antonio coming over the wall. Vetheo now going to be in trouble, but he's still standing. The Ezreal still up, still alive. Hylissang getting chunked out. 5 members still up on the side of GX, though. Vitality just aren't tanky enough. They're landing their hits, they're landing their autos. They just don't have the damage.
Thought IgNar might have flashed there to try and get the Xena plane onto Carzzy, because that could have been the end of it right there. GIANTX would have been able to turn over the Baron and start to completely decimate what's left of the Vitality towers, but not going to have to connect, and now Vitality still feeling confident to move in. Making sure that GIANTX just aren't on this Baron, but the reset's already coming through. And 35 seconds now until Dragon. I think that's where GIANTX are going to start to lean.
Would be important to get the soul point. Relatively fast objective for either side, to be honest, when it comes to taking that Baron if it is left unattended.
But that's the thing. I think the fact that Vitality got away without burning flashes and they don't get the Baron over to GX is actually a win, because now with the Dragon coming up in just a couple seconds, Photon all the way down to Carzzy have their flashes up, so your vulnerable members are going to be fine. and the Antonio doesn't have his flash available, so much more easy to see where this Malphite's going to be coming from and react to it. So Vitality going to start to try and play out the map once more, see if they can draw members of GIANTX away, or at least draw them in towards the Baron where they've already got decent vision set up for the angles of attack from GIANTX.
Of course, Jackie's just going to solo out the objective here. Vitality's setting up a trap. Going to catch out a single member of GX, but it's difficult to do. Again, on the initial reset, they get mid-prio courtesy of the Ezreal ultimate, but in the following exchange, GX already just run in, bully their way into that Dragon Pit, take the objective, and are setting their sights right back on Baron. Vitality don't have the luxury of finding an isolated or picked off member. Their side lanes are in good spots, but GX are on an objective that they have to respond to if they do choose to start it.
Especially with the Warmog's complete on towards Juhan, any kind of damage that you can get as Vitality onto Juhan is just going to be healed up, so it has to be a full-on pick onto a squishy member. Looks like Vitality is going to try and take the top route. See if they can find people. Ooh, Juhan misses though.
Fishing, slow still there. 1, 2, 3, not quite able to get 4. Nice knockback coming in from Lyncas. Hylissang Abyssal dive back to his team just to make sure he has the Devour ready if he needs to. The only coming in from Carzzy is solid, but Juhan, as you mentioned, is just going to start healing up. That's the Warmogs. The Antonio now going into the Vetheo, and he's been isolated. He's been caught out. There's nowhere left for him to go. Jackie's just descends. Killer Instinct pairing up with the Antonio. And now Vitality are in trouble. Photon's pushing in the top lane. GX clearly want to start the objective. Nice flash from Hilly. Takes him out. Photon going to grab everything that he can. Lyncas, can he make the hero play? GX ready just to flip this.
Photon has no destiny though. Jackie's going to reset to try and match that top push. GIANTX, we want to go for the play, but it's still going to be a 50-50. Lyncas can get into the pit.
Juhan versus Lyncas. The Antonio going over the wall to try to dissuade, but he doesn't really have that much CC. Looks like Lyncas going to use the wall to try to make it over. 2.8k, gets into the pit, but no! Juhan steady on the trigger, takes down the big purple worm, but in the meantime, Carzzy already trying to take down the objective. Abyssal dive out. Hylissang on the retreat, but Carzzy and Photon teaming up together. Already got one tower. The Antonio ready to punish. Ulti not too far away.
IgNar's in behind though.
Void Seeker didn't quite connect. IgNar, Shield of Daybreak, ready to follow up. Carzzy trying to sidestep as best he can, but he knows he's a dead man walking. Photon just going to sprint out of there. TP in though. They might still want the fight. Gold card ready to go. Locking up the Antonio. Vetheo, can he turn this one back? Good damage onto the Antonio. Should be able to take the Malphite down before his ulti comes back up, but it's finally there. Sidestep, boom, doesn't backstep back into the Ezreal ultimate. Recalls coming out. GX don't want to get over aggressive here.
The Antonio can TP to the wave. He's going to the ward. He's coming in with the ult.
Photon, flash up. Is he going to be forced to flash away? Ulting on Ezreal. He buffers, but it doesn't matter. Vetheo caught out Patrik with the arrow. Jackie's with the ulti. Down goes the Ezreal.
Vitality looked like they had life in them, but bit by bit, GIANTX were getting tankier. The objectives became more difficult to hold on to, and now GIANTX, with the Baron buff, are entering the base of Vitality.
That first Baron power play was nothing, but this one looking a whole hell of a lot better. 30 seconds on Vetheo. Bot lane respawning now. They're gonna grab at least one inhibitor, likely 2. See if Vitality can mount a defense here, but GX, again, they don't want to get over-eager. They've only got one win. They're not looking to take any risks. Sights set on playoffs, knowing how tight the race is at the bottom of the standings. Is IgNar just going to zoom his way out? That Cinder giving a bit of additional movement speed.
Especially when you look at Rogue now 1-5. Mad Lions, Koi still have to play Fnatic and potentially could go 1-5 after that one with the way Fnatic are playing. This could really separate GIANTX and help them into playoffs. And it's plays like this, the Antonio just catching Vetheo before the Arcane Shift complete sets up for Jackie's, because the CC still counts. So Jackie's able to get that ultimate across. And yes, Vitality, they get a ton of pressure on this top side, managing to take 2 of the towers, but you don't have the inhibitor, so you don't have pressure there to try and play around. And GIANTX now are slowly but surely going to be able to use that wave on top side to keep Vitality in their own base, start to set up sieges on multiple different lanes and make it so hard for Vitality to play this out.
And I gotta say, Rob, in this game right now, we're heading towards having 2 winners, GIANTX and Nisqy, because again, mid laners getting caught out has been the entire game thus far. That's a good bit of poke coming through. Juhan, again, not tanky enough though. Forced to flash, Arctic Assault out. The Antonio ready to respond. Jackie's continuing to poke here. The plasma stack's really starting to hurt. Death Cab completed. Now Antonio going in, and again! Patrik now godlike. This is the power of their composition. Jackie's can just immediately follow. Vetheo starting to poke. But he's starting when his base might already be finished. The Antonio backing away, taking his sweet time, waiting for that Kana Grookern to come back up, and GX just keeping the pressure going. One more plasma proc, and Hylissang is probably a dead man. Jackie's weaving in and out, not letting that gold card get close enough. TP in from the base, but I think this is just going to be it. Patrik walks up, kills Photon. One more wave should do it. Vitality, one last desperate hold. Lyncas going over, trying to lock up Patrik. Can't even get the flick back. Oh, the ulti, not quite perfectly timed. Lyncas escaping, but Patrik still remains untouched. Jackie's untouched. GX looking to pick up their second win here in Summers as Jackie's once again taken over alongside Patrik. 9-0-7, a beautiful game from the 80 carries on GX.
It looked tough at moments. Vitality gave them a run for their money. But at the end of it, it's GIANTX able to pick up their second win in Summer, and such a crucial one over, well, Vitality, who are now linked with them at 2 and 4 in the standings, but also again just separating themselves from that 9th, 10th place spots.
Yeah, for now, vote for your key of the player of the game at LEC on X. The Antonio, Jackie's, or Patrik are your options. And I gotta say, Patrik, really fantastic game. Just really clean on the Varus, doing his job. And when all that attention was being paid toward Jackie's in the early game, to stop him from some of those montage games he's had earlier in the split, he really stepped up. GX can be feeling good after that one. We're going to head to a quick break. Jackie's will join us at the analyst desk when we return.
Red Bull gives you wings. There's a place where everything begins. From the first tutorial journey to challenging the worlds. A place where people connect and friends rise to become legends. There's a place where adventure awaits you.
Welcome
To the legendary lobby.
Marriott Bonvoy. Unlock exclusive member rates and legendary benefits across over 30 hotel brands worldwide. Sign up today for free and claim your Masterwork chest and key.